If summer is creeping up and you've realized that your physique is not exactly take your shirt off on the beach ready, then don't worry, because I'm going to talk you through exactly how you can change that. Now, you can make a lot of progress in 12 weeks, but the reality is you're not going to get stage lean in that time, or sometimes even photo shoot condition, dependent on where you start from. But you can drop a serious amount of body fat, you can look dramatically different, and feel healthier and fitter in the next 12 weeks, which could then carry on way into after summer. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 phases that you need to realize before you do this. There's going to be no nonsense, no fluff, just the basics that work. Now, the first thing you need to realize is you need to manage your expectations. Social media has it filled that you can go from overweight, unhappy, 30% body fat to 12% in a matter of 12 weeks. So I'm just going to show you some examples of what actually can happen in certain body fat differences over 12 weeks. So this is an example here of going from about 30% body fat to 20% in 12 weeks. Here's another example of 20% to about 15% in 12 weeks. And then here is another example of going from about 20% to actually even 12% in 12 weeks. So it can be done. It just really depends on your situation, where you start from. Everyone's end goal will be very different depending on your starting point. So before you even start this process, remember that this is about you and not anyone else that you see online. What you got to remember, if you're starting this at 30%, the goal is not to have abs in 12 weeks. It's just probably not going to happen for a lot of you. But if the goal is to feel fitter, to be able to actually have the energy to maybe run after your kids or feel better in your job or even train more consistently, that is a huge win in 12 weeks. The big takeaway here is really simple, is your starting point is going to dictate what you can do in a matter of 12 weeks. This could be the start of something a lot bigger for a lot of you, but you've got to remember what can be achieved in that time. Now, let's move on to the thing that determines actually your results, which is going to be your calories and your protein. This is the part that so many guys get wrong, and I want to talk you through how exactly to do it. Because you can have the best training program in the world, you could do loads of cardio, you could take the best supplement stack, but none of it matters if your calories and your protein are not controlled in a way that suits you to lose fat. So you've got 2 different formulas here. You can do the first and most simple one, which is to take your body weight in pounds, times it by 10 to 12. So if you're 180 pounds, you're looking at 1,800 calories to about 2,200. And this is your starting point that you can then taper from there. If you want a more exact approach, you can use sites like freedieting.com just to kind of get your calories calculated and do it that way instead. Now from here, what you want to do is just get your protein. And the simplest way to do this is about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 180 pounds, you're looking at about 180 grams of protein to roughly about 150. Your calories you set is going to vastly depend on your lifestyle. If you're someone that doesn't have the ability to do loads of steps, loads of cardio, or loads of training, you might need a lower amount of calories than someone who can perhaps maybe walk a lot more or train a lot more. Your deficit is very suited to you and you only. Got 2 examples here of one guy here, Joel. He was dieting on over 2,000 calories every single day when he was in his diet, but his steps and activity were really, really high. And I've got another example here of Josh, who had to go really low calories because his steps and expenditure didn't meet what he could do. They both got an amazing result and they both got really lean, but ultimately it comes down to what you can stick to. And that comes on to phase 3, which is where most people get this wrong, is your steps and your cardio. Now, to be honest, most people just overcomplicate this. They chuck loads of cardio in that they don't enjoy doing in the first place. And they set unrealistic expectations of what's going to be doable. And they go do loads of cardio, get super hungry, eat their calories back, and then find out, why am I not losing fat in the first place? So with your steps, take your weekly average you have right now and add about 2,000 or 3,000 on top of that per day. So if you do 5,000 a week on average, try and do 7,000 to 8,000. If you do 10,000, try and do 12,000 to 13,000. And then you've got a step goal that you can adhere to each day. And that is inclusive of steps you would do at the gym, on the treadmill, steps you would do out and about on a dog walk, walking around the gym. That attributes to your whole step goal for the day. And then with cardio, I would just add this in dependent on your enjoyment. I personally don't do any cardio when I diet. That is my preference. I like to diet on lower calories and moderate expenditure. And I've got a lot of guys that prefer lots of cardio, and that is their preference. I would just pick an amount of calorie burn that you can stick to initially. So let's just say you might do 500 calories burn over the course of a week on 2 different separate sessions. And then that would be something that you would consistently stick to and add to as time goes on. Cardio is one of those things that is great to do. It's great for heart health, great for everything else, but you don't have to do it if you're wanting to get lean. Now, the final piece of the puzzle, and to be honest, one of the most important, is your training. Okay, you need to train in the gym to preserve the muscle mass if you're trying to get lean and trying to look better in 12 weeks time and beyond. And this is where, again, a lot of people get confused. They train to burn calories versus training to maximize muscle retention. which is the pure goal when you're trying to diet. If it was me, I would just go with a 3 or 4 day split. I think this is one of the most simplest things to stick to, depending on your situation. So if you're doing 3 days a week, you could do 3 full body sessions or an upper, lower, upper. Or if you're doing 4 days a week, you can have a little bit more choice. You could do upper, lower times 2. You could do push, pull legs and an upper body. Ultimately, though, one of the big things is you've got to progress your training, train hard enough with good enough intensity, and make sure your form is good. If you're doing that right, with the right steps, the right protein, the right calories, you will make an insane transformation over the next 12 weeks doing this, and hopefully even beyond past that point. If you need help pulling this all together and picking the exact targets, I've got a free 4-week coaching guide below. You can go and download and start today if you want to. It goes over your calories, your protein, your steps, your training, everything you need to be able to get yourself going from not really making a start to really knowing what you're doing in a very short space of time. So you can start that today. Obviously, if you have any questions for it, just shoot me a message and I'll help you with it. But this is the simplest way to get in shape if you want to be where you want to be by summer. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep things simple with protein, calories, and training, and it will take you way further than you realize.